Welcome to the show. Geek Insider presents Into the GeekVerse, the place to get an inside look at movies, comics, games, tech, and everything exciting going on in the Geekverse. Join Matthew Harris and David King as they take a deeper look at the good, the bad, and the downright terrible things our Geekverse has to offer. With live chat, geek news, special guests, and lots more. So sit back, relax, and join us for a peek into the Geekverse.
Welcome to episode 19 of Into the GeekVerse. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special episode for you, as Halloween is one of me and Matthew's favorite holidays. We like to share with y'all a couple of Halloween movies. So, of course, I'm your host, David King, and he is...
Wrong way. You're pointing the wrong way. I'm Matthew Harris. If you look, you got to do it backwards. See, I just did it wrong, too. But yeah, I'm Matthew Harris, and welcome, everyone. And not only are we doing horror movies, we might discuss some older ones, but we're talking about some that have just came out. We've got Halloween Ends that David just saw yesterday. I saw last Thursday night when it came out on TV, and then Pray for the Devil, which I just saw yesterday. David saw the day before, which is brand new. It's out in theaters. And then one that I found, what was it, on Netflix or Hulu?
X was on... I don't think it was on either one of those. It was on
some streaming service that we but anyway, yeah, it's just called X. And we, like I said, we might discuss some other ones here in a minute, but
Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So these are three horror movies that just came out. And let's start.
I would like to give a special thanks to Colgate for officially sponsoring this episode.
Damn, I'm sorry.
More on them later. As Matthew was saying, getting started into Halloween Ends. This is a recently released movie that is a continuation off of the other Halloweens that have been put out. There was Halloween Kills, and then now Halloween Ends.
And then 9 or 10 others before that. There's 13 of them.
These are just the new ones that are kind of the most direct to each other.
Because that's one thing that is kind of screwy, dude. This one, Lori is in it again. She's been killed off in this series before. But then they were like, oh, wait a minute. Forget that one. It's like they did with Halloween 2. They're like, no, just put that one out of your head. It's like Highlander 2. Please forget this. But so yeah, we're back. Lori's back. He killed her daughter. Michael killed her daughter in the one before this. And so, dude, I mean, folks, we won't give a whole lot of spoilers, but we are going to talk about the plot line. Before I give my opinion, what is yours? Did you like it? Love it? I mean, did you like it, love it, hate it, or eh?
It was the most awful horror movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, it sucked. As a Halloween fan, dude, Halloween 1 was the first horror movie I saw as a kid. My aunt took me to see it. I love Michael Myers. I've seen all of them. And this was an atrocious piece of shit.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us, you may be asking, like, well, Matthew, David, why are you doing a review on a god-awful movie? Why would I want to hear you just talk about
warn you.
Yeah, so to warn you and to let you know. And as we always say, our opinions are our opinions. And if you disagree, we'd love to hear from you. You could send us an email at matthew@geekinsider.com or david@geekinsider.com. Or better yet, you could join us live and drop a comment down below, and we'd love to feature you in this episode talking about your point of view.
Yeah, because... dude, this was so disappointing. The story, everything from the storyline to the acting to the mood, the direction, of course, the music. It was all wrong.
We already got our first visitor.
Right?
Marissa, thanks for joining in. This is my wonderful
Yeah,
girlfriend who had sat and watched through with me, or as Matthew would say, my fiance.
Yeah, I keep calling her that, Marissa. I keep getting y'all engaged. But yeah, dude, I was so disappointed in this. And, Brenda, she's not a fan of horror movies. She, what do you say? Anyways, she watches them because I kind of forced her to watch them. And even she's like, at the storyline, there's never any scares. That's one thing. And there's several WTF moments in this movie.
Well, let's go. I do have some questions.
All right, go for it.
First thing, how do you feel about this granddaughter of Laurie's? How do you feel about her just being like, oh my God, I love this guy all of a sudden? Like, it's just, this is my entire life is this guy. Like, how did you feel about that? Like, can it work in the story, or did you think that they should have garbaged that idea totally?
It was forced. It totally felt forced. And yes, I get it. There's the lineage. You have in the original origin story. If we go back to the original, we're leaving out Rob Zombie's versions. Well, it's kind of the same. But anyway, Michael, as a kid, just snaps. He puts on a cheap little mask and he goes and kills one of his sisters. And then Laurie is a baby. And so he doesn't kill her. He goes off to an insane asylum. He comes out and goes after her. I can kind of get that he would want to go after the granddaughter or his niece, or his niece, and then his grandniece would be what it is. And so I can kind of see that. But dude, there was so much lazy writing in this. I mean, you and I can both sit there and predict what's coming in a lot of movies, especially when it comes to superheroes and stuff. And that's one huge reason why when it's a unique storyline, I love it so much. And I usually message you like Belko experiment, case in point, a unique storyline. But and it is hard to get something unique going with something you've got 13 freaking sequels of. But if you're going to do this and you're going to say it's Halloween ends, okay, we're done, we're not going to make any more money off of this franchise, you would have think they would have hashed out this storyline a little bit better, because the granddaughter falling for this boyfriend and then what happens with him is dude, that is on the level of Us, of stupidity, the movie Us. And folks, if you liked Us, the horror movie, we're talking horror movies. If you think Us is a good horror movie, you can send your geek card to Matthew@geekinsider.com, or just send me your address so that I can send you a self-addressed stamped envelope to get your geek card, because that's another really stupid horror movie. But anyway, go ahead. What was the next thing on your list on Halloween ends?
So, all right, well, I got to ask you. So we get an interaction, obviously Michael Myers being in it. They thought he was dead and everything like that. And the interaction that he has with another person, trying not to give too many spoilers away or anything. Right. I'm sure you know where I'm talking about. The first time that you see, and that interaction, I don't understand. What were we supposed to understand from that? Other than like maybe he was trying to pass it on to another person?
That's what I'm talking about. That was the really, really stupid part of the movie, but you're asking for me to make sense of something. Is there any part of this movie that you can say, oh, that makes sense? Because I'm hard pressed. Because not only does, and that would give too much away. It's like he tries to pass the torch on to this guy, teaches him a little bit, lets him live, and then there's this strange, wicked, I don't even know what to fucking call it, man. There's this strange turn later on. But, we're at the 10-minute mark on this, and I was flabbergasted by this, because Halloween, coming out on Halloween or around Halloween, the Halloween season, that's something that I have lived with for, God, I mean, I'm ancient now, and so you're talking 35 years or a little less than 30. I don't know the date that the original Halloween came out, or the year rather. So, but I did go to see it at the theater, and so you've had this legacy. Michael was really the first. I'm pretty sure Michael came before Friday the 13th, and so you've got this legacy, decades of it. And then you're going to put out this piece of trash as your grand
and
finale?
Exactly like you were mentioning about like they could have taken more time. It's not even that we're trying to fit in so much of a conclusion into this one movie. They just did 2 others leading up to this. You had plenty of time to build a better story moving into this.
I'm just going to ask you, we've seen another example of this with the sequels of Star Wars, the trilogy, how the storyline just goes all over the damn place. What is wrong with Hollywood? How could you not have the main points of the storyline or the outline mapped out for this trilogy that you're calling your finale? Because it's all over the place.
The only thing I can think of when you say that, and I don't remember if this was directly Family Guy or something, I feel like it was an episode of Family Guy where they go over writers in a room trying to appeal to the younger new audience. And they're just like, come on, guys, we need things. And they're like, what if we just completely brain fuck them? Like, they don't even know what's going on. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening. They're like, what if we just completely throw shit at a wall and hope it sticks?
Yeah, and I think on Halloween they're thinking, oh, people just want a good Michael Myers movie. Yeah, that's the problem. We did want a good Michael Myers movie. Y'all didn't give us one.
I would have been more okay with the same thing, but slightly altered. We kind of somewhat expect that him going on Halloween night, murder spree, and some kind of ending. I would have been okay with that. It's extremely repetitive, but it's what we've kind of grown to enjoy. And it would have been better than this. I mean, rather than them trying to bring way too much of all of this other commotion into it.
Well, bro, I mean, you could have made the perfect ending to this would have been, he already had killed Laurie's daughter. There's Laurie's granddaughter, so his grandniece. He kills the grandniece. He kills Laurie, and then he drops dead. Yeah, we agree, Jason. That's exactly what we're saying. If he killed that lineage and then he died, you could get, because then there's all kinds of things that, well, maybe he wasn't so evil. He was trying to wipe out the bloodline, or, but to throw this stupid bullshit. And Jason, I'm just going to tell you, I warned you beforehand. He messaged me and said, I'm fixing to go see Halloween. And I said, it sucked. And then there's a real quick anecdote here. I always mess with him now and tell him everybody dies, because he was going to see Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. And I said, oh man, it's great. I said, but everybody dies. And that was right as they're walking in. Well, when Tom Cruise crashes, he's going, him and his date's going like, your brother really wouldn't fuck you like this, would he? And then the other dude's thing crashes, and he's like, that motherfucker. So that's a thing now. And then, of course, with it being a Halloween movie, I thought it was appropriate. Everybody dies. But yeah,
I do have one last question that I have. I don't know if you've got any more. And ladies and gentlemen, spoilers alert. We try not to go over too much, but I do got to ask this. How do you feel about the interaction of Corey, the boy who goes after Laurie, fails, and then ends up killing himself, and the reason why he did it and all that? Like, what did you feel about that?
Well, I'll be honest. This was the end of the movie. Matthew had a few whiskeys, bourbons. And Matthew don't remember much about that. I just, because by that time I had kind of clocked out of the movie.
It's really hard to stay into it at that point. Okay, so breaking it down, I mean, like he texted the granddaughter like, "Hey, let's meet. We're about to bail town, and because everybody hates both of us." And she waits. She gets stood up, so she goes back home. But he's at home trying to face off Laurie. Laurie ends up getting the better of him. He's barely alive. He's got the knife. He sees that the girl he was supposed to meet is coming in, and she previously told her that he was gonna die by Laurie. Laurie was trying to kill him. And so right before she opens the door, he chooses to kill himself. So the granddaughter thinks her grandmother killed her love.
Right.
So
I remember now, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, if he's psycho and he's supposed to be like a new Michael Myers, like which I thought you were trying to make me believe.
That's what I thought.
This?
That's exactly what I thought. And I know what the writers were trying to do. They were trying to lead us to believe that and then flip the script. No, he's not going to be the new Michael Myers. Halloween ends here. Hey, folks, thank you so much for joining in. I see a lot of y'all coming in across Facebook, on our various little platforms. Just in case you're new to the show, we're live every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central. And then this is what it is. David and I sit here and bullshit and take a dive into the GeekVerse about various movies. We have guests on sometimes. It's not always just us ugly son bitches on here. We do have guests from across gaming and all kinds of different stuff. But I just saw a bunch of y'all log on, so I wanted to say something. Final words on Halloween. I mean, we both give it it just sucks. And any last words? I can't recommend this. Whether you're a Halloween lover or a Halloween series lover, you're just wanting a scary movie for tomorrow night, or you're new to the Halloween.
It's not even funny. Not a comedy, stupid horror. It's not a horror. It's not jump scare. It's not like bloody over the top. It checks no boxes.
It's not even one of those. I think you kind of touched on it. It's not even one of those so stupid it's funny that's going to become, a classic because it is so stupid.
Clouds from outer space.
Yeah. Exactly. Or Chuds, or Chuds is a big one. But anyway, all right, we're done with Halloween Ends. Before we move on to the next one, let's take a word from our sponsor. Folks, this show is officially sponsored by none other than Colgate. Thank you so much, Colgate, for continuing to sponsor the show. They're still going to be around for a good little bit, but they got something they want to tell you because you're not brushing your teeth good enough. Hey, everyone. It's a known fact that when brushing, most people miss up to 40% of their teeth. But thankfully, the Hum by Colgate has you covered. Hum by Colgate is a smart toothbrush and app combination that will give you and the kids sparkling smiles and more of them. Colgate is the official sponsor of Into the GeekVerse, and you can get into the rhythm of better brushing by heading over to shop.colgate.com. As an official insider, you can use discount code GEEK20 and get 20% off the Hum by Colgate. That's shop.colgate.com and discount code GEEK20. All right, so we're done with Halloween, and then now there's this new one. Just came out Friday, Thursday night if you go late, and it's Pray for the Devil, Prey. Now, man, the trailers of this look great. It's one of those. Brenda told me, I'm not going to go see this one. I know it's Halloween. We're doing our Halloween movies. I'm not going to see this one. I said, I bet you do. Well, she goes to Lubbock. She goes to some haunted houses. And for those of you who don't know, my wife and I are both disabled, but she hates horror movies. She's in a wheelchair. But she was able to go to a haunted house with some friends and while she was out of town. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, if you can go to a damn haunted house, you can go see this movie. And she's like, okay, let me see how I do at the haunted house. If I get too scared, then maybe not. So anyway, we had built this up. Looks great. We get there. David, we have not spoken one word about this movie, just other than we've seen it. Again, I'll let you go first.
No. I know you asked first, but I told you the opinion first on Halloween. I got to hear your opinion first on this one.
It wasn't even to the level of it could be better. It could have been better. It was a decent thought. Not any jump scares. There was only one out of Brenda. Halloween Ends didn't get any. And I measure scary movies by Brenda's when something scary happens. There was one, and it was way towards the end. No, not a fan.
I'll get back to the because I gotta know which scene it was. I'll tell you though, I'm with you. I would put it at it could have been better, just straight out, because like you had mentioned, I could understand the thought process and how this could be very scary. But I think if I had to sum it up, they tried to put too much into Christian and story and how the church works. And I think they put too much into that and not just let it be like, oh, it's, it's a person and just trying to become the first one. And then just moving on and becoming horror. So I think it could have been better. I did predict a lot of it. And I want to tell you, before you tell me the moment,
I don't even remember where it was.
This is the first movie, and I'm really ashamed to say this. This was the first movie that I jumped at.
There was one part that made me jump.
And no, but I almost guarantee you that it wasn't the same moment. It was literally a moment where like it was just a shift in a hand or something where it was like that. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was focused on something else or what, or if it was, me and my girlfriend are there, we're holding hands or something. I don't know what it was. And she started laughing. I was like, shut up. And she's like, you got scared. I wasn't scared. I don't know what it was, but like, I guess it caught me off guard or something. But I do got to tell you, yeah, there was that. But first, before you tell me your jump scare, I want to know the moment, because like you said, we got to rate it by those uhs.
I couldn't really sit there and take notes during it. And I just remember laughing because it was the first one. And it was something late in the movie.
Was it the baby where the skin starts just...
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
It would be that.
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah. Knowing Brenda.
Yeah, and that was, for me, a cool scene. I was like, hey, that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
I was like, that was pretty tight. But
that was where I was like, are we gonna get like really?
Yeah, I thought they're gonna come busting out. Yeah, but man, I mean, this could have set up a new franchise. It really could, with her kind of being like the Evil, the show Evil that you and I saw the clips of at Comic-Con a few years ago. Brenda and I fell in love with it. We watched the first season. It's now on like Paramount Plus or one of those, and we're a couple of seasons behind, but it's still got a really good following. So I need to follow up on it. But I could see something like that with this nun. She's the first female exorcist allowed in the Catholic Church. And so I could see something like that happening, but I just don't think they hit the mark here good enough because word of mouth, I mean, we're telling you folks, I'd go see it matinee if you can get matinee for $6, $7, $8. There's no way in hell I'd pay full price to go see this thing.
Yeah, who knows the people who have a different interest and take into these movies, and maybe that's the type of horror where it's not a jump scare or not real, maybe. But what we're rating these and stuff. But I got to ask you. So you explained the moment, but what moment had you jumping out of your britches?
It was just one of them where it popped up behind them all of a sudden, and it got me. I wasn't expecting it. The music wasn't going. And they did several of those attempted jump scares, but that was the only one that got me. And really and truly, man, this didn't even strike me. I mean, yeah, it was a horror theme, but it really wasn't a horror movie.
It was just a Christian demon movie, in my opinion. It was a story of like what they do with people who are demonic, and
it could have been. And I said I wouldn't even say this, that I couldn't say this, but it really does have a lot of potential, or it did. I mean, because look at The Exorcist from decades ago. That one broke new ground, dude. That one freaked people out. People were fainting in the damn theater when The Exorcist came out, especially the ultra religious and stuff like that. And so this had that opportunity because they were mixing fact with fiction. You know, we all know that there has been exorcisms. We all know that there is that fine line of, is this motherfucker crazy or they really got a demon? And so it dives into that. And there are some really creepy moments. But like you say, it's more, to me, it reminds me of Evil, the TV show. It's just more, matter of fact, I would be with, it's been a little while, it's been a couple of years, but I'd be willing to bet Evil gave me more jump scares than what this did.
So I got two questions that are right back to back. First is, and guys, major spoiler alerts, just because I got to know Matthew and we saw this and we haven't been able to talk about it. One, did you see like ahead of time? Because we're really good at being able to like, I knew it. Did you know that girl was going to be her daughter?
The second it was that we seen that she had a baby.
That was the answer to my second question was when she was like, she had a baby. I was like, shoot, that girl.
That's the girl.
Really, yeah.
I leaned over to Brenda and I went, that girl's her daughter.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page. And, you know, Marissa was like, shut up, we're watching a movie. And I'm like, I just got to call it like I see it, you know? and
yeah, that's exactly what I did. And Brenda just goes, because she was agreeing with me. She thought the same thing. And it's very predictable with the foreshadowing and, you know, the all of that going. I still think they did.
It's one of those things where you're like, oh, that dumb blonde bitch gonna do it. You're like, you
right?
Don't do it.
Run. But I did. The one thing that I liked is I liked the flashbacks with her mother. That creeped me out a little bit of just, you know, I had a fucked up childhood, but seeing that interaction.
That's a good question. Marissa came in and said, would y'all say Pray for the Devil was better than Halloween Ends?
Yeah.
Matthew says yes. I would say yes as well. Of course. We didn't even talk about anything that we liked about Halloween Ends.
I don't really think there was anything.
Like the flashbacks and the
the flashbacks for me, that was cool. It did give that creepy vibe. You can put yourself in that child's shoes a little bit of they're stuck. I mean, and we get the opening scene is kind of fucked up, man, but because it's between the mom and the daughter, and you're thinking mom's just throwing a fit. Yeah. But yeah. Again, I can't recommend you going to see this tomorrow night for feature prices. Because God, some of you guys out there live where it costs $25 a damn ticket. Definitely cannot recommend it at that price. If you want to go see it at a matinee on Saturday, you know, go at noon or whatever. Yeah, it's worth it. But it's definitely not the Halloween movie you're looking for this year.
Now, before moving on and stuff, you know, to our other film that we got that we both watched, was there anything else you wanted to say about Pray for the Devil?
You know, no. I just think they missed the boat here. This could, you know, we haven't seen a good Halloween franchise kick off in a long time. I mean, top of my head, Chucky was the last one that you know is the most current one that's getting the sequels and actually draws people in. Maybe there's some that I'm not thinking about. And then, folks, if y'all can think of any, throw it out in the live chat. Which, folks, if you're listening on the podcast, you're catching us on TikTok or whatever, we are live on YouTube every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central. You can join us in the chat room. Where go to YouTube, just type in Geek Insider. You'll find us. Hit the little bell so you get and subscribe, of course. But hit the little bell so you get notified when we're live. Because the other night we say we're here every Sunday night. Well, this week was so full of stuff. We did a Friday night show, a Saturday night show, and a Sunday night show. Because Friday night, what the hell did we discuss? Black Adam, yeah. in which I'll kind of wrap with Black Adam once we get done here. But then last night we were discussing Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, because that just came out this week. And then, of course, tomorrow's Halloween, so we're doing a Halloween show for our regular show. But hit that bell so you know when we are on.
Now, you were mentioning about Halloween franchises and stuff, and going off of that. Let's talk just for a moment, because we always end up, when we're talking about horror movies, some way, shape, or form, bringing it up, which you kind of already have. Our man Jordan Peele. We started off with Get Out, and I remember you're the one who got it, told me to watch it. I watched it. I liked it. We moved on to you said it was Us.
Yes.
Yeah, and I didn't even see it because you were like, don't see this. And then now we're moving on to the recently released, and I say recently, a couple months ago, I think, was Note, which looked like a good trailer. And me and Matthew were both going to check it out. After I watched it, I told Matthew, I was like, no, don't.
Yeah, and I trusted him. I haven't seen it because Us, folks, I know, again, I see a bunch of y'all popping in on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. But Us, it turned me off of Jordan Peele. I was so impressed with Get Out. I really liked it. It was a unique storyline. It was well directed, well acted, suspenseful, a really great movie. And then Us came out, and that is the stupidest mother effing movie I have seen in a long time. It's a train wreck. Jordan Peele, I mean, I know he's got a lot of potential. A lot of people like him, but somebody the other day was trying to say, well, Jordan Peele's better than M. Night Shyamalan. And I was like, okay, M. Night Shyamalan has had some flops. He's had some screw, but he's also had some good ones.
Wait, speaking about that, we both wanted to see, and I ended up seeing, I hope you did, Old.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I did. It was panned by critics, and it took me a while to watch it because of that. People were like, oh, it sucks. I thought it was a decent film. It kept me guessing, wondering what was going on. It's that little otherworldly kind of thing that you're getting sucked into stuff. It right up my alley. So yeah, I actually thought that, besides, he's made 3 of, I don't know, top 20 movies for me. And that's the Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. I love those movies.
Did I tell you I had her sit down and watch Split with us?
Oh,
yeah, we just watched it. But as we digress,
yeah,
I do want to mention,
get back on the path.
We do have the last one, which is X. Now, I've got to say, starting this off, that Matthew hits me up saying, all right, man, let's throw this in here. We got to talk about it. This was awesome. We had jump scares. We had so many ratings for the nuh-uhs and everything. And so I hop on the boat. We, log on, get to watch it and stuff. Before I go too far, ladies and gentlemen, now that you've got that hype going up, I'll let Matthew lead us off with what do you still think that it is that great of a movie?
Well, I need to watch it sober. For one thing,
That's what I
but okay, it feels like it's one of the older movies, 70s, 80s. It's just got that kind of vibe. You got a group that is going to go and they're wanting to shoot a porno, and so they show up at a farm.
Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, plenty of spoilers ahead. This is on Amazon Prime. It's just called X. And it's because they're making an X-rated film, and there's plenty of boobies. That was one thing I liked. It's always so funny. I could be looking at my phone and Brando will go boobies, and I can look at, oh, cool, she got some nice ones. Or Brando will go nice boobies. But anyway, yeah. So I did hype it up a little much, but it was because I was buzzed. But there was a lot, Brenda gave a lot of uh-uhs, and there was a lot of times I'm going, oh, because I didn't expect stuff.
I can see some of that. I mean, let's go ahead. And getting into this, I would say I don't think that it was a good – I would say that for the most part it was okay. Thank you, Daniel, for joining in.
He's an old neighborhood friend. Grew up several houses down from each other. Hey, Danny or Daniel, I don't know what you go by now. I don't go by Matt, so I don't know if you go by Danny anymore.
So, I mean, I've got a lot, and it's kind of fresh on my mind where I could kind of walk through a lot of stuff. But before I do that, why don't you tell me what you remember that you like that you want to talk about?
Oh, man, why you put me on the
trick
spot
is,
like that, brother?
What you remember.
I told you I was depending on you to spur my memory going, hey, this happened.
Right.
And I go, oh, yeah.
Not going in order, but probably the number one thing that I would say was the scene where the girl's trapped under the bed and the two really old people start fucking on top.
Oh God, yes.
It is
You get that. I mean, we've seen that in a million porns and all kinds of stuff where someone's in the room they're not supposed to be in, they hide under the bed, and then somebody starts doing the horizontal mambo above you. And hell, Jason's been under the bed and stuck the machete up through somebody that's done it. But folks, we're talking people that are ancient. And I mean that when they fart, their dust blows out. They are
now probably if they farted, they would have just fucking died.
Yeah, lack of oxygen. That was an moment, but usually her uhs are the scary things. But yeah, that was
All right. Here's another one. What about the moment that the girlfriend, ladies and gentlemen, there is a guy and a girl who is filming this, and the beginning of it, the woman was all like, "Why are we filming this smut?" and all of this, and so of course they get into it, and then they already shoot some of the stuff, and she starts asking questions. She's like, why do y'all do this? And I thought you love her. Why would you let that person fuck other people if you love her? And they're all giving this story about how it's not about I trust them, and you'll watch, if you watch the movie you'll be able to get more sense. But leading into what I was going to say, what did you think about later where she goes, I want to be in the porno, and then the dude has to film his girlfriend getting railed by these porno people?
Oh, and his face, man, when she said that, he looks up and he's like, wait, what?
Dude, the moment where you see he's having to film it, and you see his face just go, oh man, and then the shower scene. Bro, dude, I thought 100% he was not getting out of that shower. He was killing himself.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, yeah, dude. You have to watch your girlfriend get plowed by another dude in a porno, which you seem like, rough.
Well, you could see that she was into it from the beginning when she's down there and she's like,
I wonder what that feels like.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, my man don't make me moan like that. I mean, that's what it's kind of like. But yeah, so they show they're on this old people's farm, and the old people are kind of popping up at inopportune moments, and they're making this porn. I enjoyed it. Get a buzz. Make sure maybe you'll be on the same, because David, you didn't like it, did you?
It was okay, and thinking about it more than just watching it, I think the reason why I was more of it was okay was I was expecting way more
I hyped
shaken,
it up
scared, and this was more of a horror that's just it's creepy. It makes your skin crawl, and you're just like,
right.
Oh, and so I can get an appreciation, and I can get behind that. So I'll say okay, but it just because I was thinking something else going into it. But I mean, it's not bad, guys. I mean, especially if you have Showtime on Amazon, it doesn't cost anything. Check it out and see. Obviously,
and the thing is, this is something that I just came across by accident, looking for something to watch, and it's the best of the three we've discussed tonight. Exactly.
Yeah,
What I was
it was
fixing to say.
better.
It was the best of between Halloween Ends, a franchise that's been around for decades, Prey, which could have had a franchise going. It's just out in theaters. The trailers look great. It's still worth the watch, folks. We just don't recommend going and seeing it at full price.
All right, here
But
we go.
X.
Oh, I was gonna say, okay, what about the moment where he goes to leave and he turns the vehicle around and there's the lady and he's like, I'm gonna be a nice person and go help this old lady. And what pursues after that? What do you think about that?
Bro, that was one of those moments where I was like, oh, because it was cool. I mean, there was a few of those scenes, I guess, because it being the elderly person that's kind of creepy anyway, where you're not expecting that. You're expecting this kindly old woman. And
not the woman peeping through the window watching you get railed by this dude.
Well, and backing up, bro, what did you think when homeboy knocked on the door and the old man come out with a double barrel right in homeboy's face?
He has the gun in a lot. I don't remember the exact one. Are you talking about where he opens it? He's wearing nothing, and he's like, "I'm looking for my wife." You're talking about the producer that was going.
Yeah, the very, very, very beginning, he knocks on that door, and old boy just barrels in the face.
It does give you a good relief in knowing what you're getting into, because I think that if all of a sudden the old man did start killing or whatever, I think you would have been kind of
right.
So it gave a good taste, because then, in that time, and he owns a farm and he doesn't know, and it's very reasonable to believe that somebody would be out there doing it. Not that he's a murderer, but just he's self-defense and he's looking after his property. It's very well believable.
And and it takes him a second, which it kind of can allude to the mental capacity later on, because it does take him a second. Because the dude's like, we talked on the phone, and he's like, oh yeah, and then he pulls the gun down. So it takes him a minute. But like I said, folks, again, thanks for tuning in. I thank you for the likes. We see y'all popping in across around here. Happy Halloween. It's tomorrow night. We're discussing horror movies. We went over Halloween Ends. We went over Pray for the Devil. Now we're talking about X, which is available on Showtime. So if you've got Showtime subscription or you got Showtime on Amazon Prime, you can see it. Out of the three, this is the one we recommend you watch tomorrow night. Now, granted, Brenda and I have been watching some of the older ones. Night before last, I think it was Night Before Last. Dude, I had not seen the original Invisible Man. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was on one of the things we got. They played Werewolf or Wolfman, but then the original Invisible Man. And granted, it's in black and white. You're talking 1930s, 1940s, but I really enjoyed it. I was wanting bed so bad, but I had to finish the movie.
Now, I'm far from done from X, because
no, go ahead. I just
really crazy stuff. So, the man that's in the basement. What's your thoughts on that? What's your theories? Because from my understanding, it's never addressed.
It wasn't. This dude just appears, and
I kind of get it. I wish that it kind of would have had some, maybe before the movie started, just some pizza delivery guy, some just 30-second or whatever.
Right.
But it was still fine. You already know what's going on by the time so I kind of get it. But I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something, and you would be like, nah, David, remember? He's
not that I remember. Yeah, not that I remember.
Yeah, she is. Whole man just
yeah.
So what's your theory about what she was doing, her, with the guy that was in the basement? Because he constantly alludes to that basement being a trap place for her to go to later.
Yeah, that was
my only thought process was it's her sex dungeon, because she keeps trying to have sex with the old man. And the old man's like, my heart will give out. I can't.
Right.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I think that they was like traveling salesman or whatever, and grandma was getting her jollies. I mean, because I mean, brother was packing. That was downstairs.
All right, here we go. What about the scene where she goes to the other house, not her house, and the last girl is there laying in bed or whatever, and she gets into bed? Dude, they take their sweet time with this old lady getting in bed with the other woman and then just starts wiping the blood over the body. I feel like
Yeah.
that was a moment.
It was, and that was creepy. And that was one of the things that,
and they finessed it. They took their time. They didn't drag it out too long. They kind of went back to it. They went to other things, and
that was the thing with this one. You know, it had that creep factor. There was some jump scares, there was some goriness, but it has that creep factor because you're dealing with elderly people, and they fucked up, and it ain't the stuff we've seen before, where the elderly people bending over backwards and then climbing up the walls. We saw that in Exorcist 2 or 3 or whatever, and we've seen it time and time again where they try to use the elderly. This was kind of a unique take on it, and me, and I've gotten you into it here at Geek Insider. We love the indie films, and so that's why another big reason I was happy to come across this, because this wasn't a big theatrical release. It wasn't, a franchise. And again, folks, we're talking about X, and it's available on Showtime. But we've watched a lot of movies in the last week. Okay, you got anything else you want to say about X? Because we have seen a lot of movies, a lot of shows in the last week, and I think it would kind of be appropriate to give a ranking on our top 2 of the last week.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll use this one because it's on the top of my head. Do you remember the scene where he asked the guy, "Hey, I'm the ex-Marine or whatever, that I'm looking for my wife," and they go out to the lake to be able to look for the wife. And as he's looking around, do you remember he sees a car in the lake? Now, when I saw that moment, I was like, okay, someone is there, whatever. Like we never got any context to it. Before I say the next part, do you have any theories on that?
I have absolutely no memory of that event, Your Honor.
I don't remember. So they're walking around. He sees this like punch buggy that's in the lake and everything.
Okay. It's a punch buggy. Ladies and gentlemen, he means Volkswagens. No, we all know what punch buggies are. Punch buggy red.
But then remember at the end of the movie, they talk about how they position the bodies to which that they're defending themselves because it's on their property. And then after waiting, and if police or anybody comes within the next few days, they then dump everything into the lake. I then realized, okay, they decided to dump the car in the lake. So, question on this. If they would have gotten away with this, what the fuck are you going to do with that huge-ass van? You can't fit that shit in there if the punch buggy don't fit in there.
Right. Well, they were on a bunch of property. I guess they could have torched the motherfucker. But yeah, there's some open plot holes in the thing.
Well, it wasn't bad. It was just at first I was like, "You're not going to explain this," but then I was realizing, they dumped everything.
Well, it's just like they didn't. And I guess if you tie the two together with Homeboy in the basement and then the stuff in the lake, that that they capture people, and Grandma is a freak. But again, and folks, there's a lot in this movie. So even if you've heard some of the quote unquote spoilers we've revealed here,
there's 50% of it.
No, exactly. There's a lot more in this. I would, out of the 3, this is the one I would recommend watching, and it's the only one that I would watch again.
Bruh, I promised last thing, but I just thought about it. How much of a cringe factor was the producer in his, tidy whities walking through that barn? How, you know what I'm talking about? How much of a cringe?
That
Dude,
is.
I was like, man, it's not even hidden with hay. It's not even. I was like, it was the same amount with the same effect from A Quiet Place, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and it still got me. I was like,
Yeah, that, and again, we don't want to spoil it for you, ladies and gentlemen, but again, happy Halloween. I see more of y'all popping in on Facebook. Thanks so much for tuning in. You can catch us every Sunday night live at 9 p.m. Central on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. We're talking about Halloween movies. We're wrapping up here. We've talked about
joining us. Welcome to Fright Night.
Yeah, which you deemed it that earlier, and which was appropriate. But yeah, Halloween ends, thumbs down. I didn't like it. It was not the worst in the franchise, but it's up there. Maybe that's something we should have.
0 uh-uhs.
Yeah, there was no and then we had Prey, which just came out in theaters. It's a nun. She is at not a convent. She's at a school, and she likes jumping in on exorcism classes, and no women are allowed exorcists, of course. And then they actually illegally take people prisoner and lock them up in this place. That was the other thing on this. Who consents to this stuff? They're like, oh no, we lock them away down here. They're behind several doors, and then if we can't fix them, we ship them off to the Vatican. Okay, and most of them die. They go to the Vatican.
90%.
Yeah, no, it was more than that, but they die. And so, Pray for the Devil. It's guiding between, and see it matinee price. X, I give it a thumbs up. I think it's definitely worth the watch, especially if you have Showtime. If you don't, and you've never had it, you can get a free trial. But that is what I suggest for out of these three for tonight or Halloween night. It's still early, depending on where you are in the country.
And speaking of what you were wanting to talk about tops in all of what we've seen, I'll have to say my top for Halloween movies, and one that I would highly recommend you to go see, is Trick, and it is on Hulu. So I would definitely recommend seeing it.
I'll have to check that one out.
Giving you a little bit of a rundown, there is a man who is at a party. He wears a mask, ends up killing the people at the party, and then every Halloween he returns, and this I think it's FBI agent, a police cop, and the girl that survived from the original attack, he is just teasing them every Halloween.
And that sounds like Bloody Valentine. That sounds, except it was Valentine's Day.
But dude, and I love this because it even says it before you watch the movie, each killing becomes more interesting and more gruesome ways that he finds to kill these people. And
it's called Trick. And what did you say it was on Hulu?
Hulu, yeah. And I would give this definitely the best horror movie I have watched.
Oh, okay. Well, hell, when did you watch?
This is if you're looking at where to put it at, horror / gruesome, kind of. It's not really jump scares, but I mean it kind of's got it. You see it coming, but you still kind of jump. It's like one of those jump scares.
Right.
But yeah, see, I think that that's a trifecta for me. You've got the horror gruesome with the little bit of a jump, but it's not just I'm gonna pop and scare you, but not do anything. It's a
Well, I wish I would have checked that one out before tonight so that we could have discussed that one. That's probably what we'll watch tomorrow night now.
And what would be your favorite to tell everybody?
Dude, I mean, there hasn't really been a horror movie lately that I really enjoyed other than X. That I can think of off the top of my head, and I should have taken some time to think and jot it down. But yeah, I am picky when it comes to horror. I've been a horror fan since I was very young. I started out with Stephen King stuff, and then Ray Bradbury, and there's Peter Straub, a bunch of that, and Edgar Allan Poe, of course. But so I've always been a fan of horror, reading, and then into the movies. And so I do have a lot of the times where I can predict what the hell is going to happen. And I don't like repetition, that you're rehashing the same old bullshit that's been done 100 times. Yeah. And so that, and like we mentioned earlier, we both love unique storylines. And I thought X was pretty cool. What was funny is, dude, is when I saw the trailer, I turned to Brenda and I said, wait, this is the farmer's daughter tale turned horror, because it just showed clips of the farmer and then the chick having sex. And I'm like, oh, dude goes to farmer's house, has sex with the daughter, and it's not just he shoots him. It turns into a horror fest. That would be something I would watch, right. But
I gotta say, although I got to tell everybody my favorite one, or if you're still thinking on one, I can tell you The Resort, which is also on Hulu, has got to be, other than what we've talked about, the worst horror movie that I've ever seen. Reason why I'll give it that is the trailer goes over there is an island on Hawaii it became abandoned. And it was a resort that was in there. Everybody started disappearing after this haunting in this room. And this girl who's writing a book and stuff, all of her friends for her birthday get her tickets and everything to go over there. And they find someone to fly in. And they go investigate this. And like just anybody who goes there, they disappear. Nobody hears from them or anything. So I'm like, all right, yeah. What happens when they go there? Kind of the trailer is interesting. But the number one reason, there's two reasons. Number one reason, you shoved everything in the last 15 minutes. There was no horror scare, jump, nothing until like the last 15 minutes of it. Two, when you did get into it and there was a gruesome moment where like there was the horror figure that was in it, they were like, ah, and then they kept seeing a camera where they're just like, and they're not doing anything. They're not attacking or running. They're just like.
So no on Resort. Yes on Trick. Yeah. Yes on X. No on Pray for the Devil, and no on Halloween Ends. But in the we did the show Friday night on Black Adam, on Star Wars, Tales of the Jedi last night, tonight Halloween. With everything we've watched in the last week, what was your favorite?
With everything or out of the three? Out of everything, it was definitely Trick, as it would be my recommended one. I've explained why. That, and it's on Hulu. It's free, and I can't believe how many times I brushed over it. It just looks like one that's like, okay.
I just wish you would have told me, hey, it was great. You should watch it before the show. I would have snuck it in somewhere. Mine, since I haven't seen that, would be Black Adam. Out of all these, with the Star Wars, I enjoyed.
Oh yeah, I guess I'm caught up in horror
Halloween
and stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking, ladies and gentlemen, everything we've seen.
With what Matthew's talking about, Black Adam, if you haven't already seen our review episode that we did a couple of days ago, go ahead and check out our YouTube channel or podcast, and we go over Black Adam and why we disagree with what everyone says. Don't listen to those critics and stuff. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And we do talk about things that we caught that were off and we didn't like, but as a movie, we like it and we would recommend you go.
As non-Black Adam fans, we didn't know much, if anything, about Black Adam. We just went in knowing it's The Rock, knowing that it's Shazam related, basically. Mm-hmm. And so, out of everything that we've watched, the Black Adam, Star Wars would be my second favorite. Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, and then I guess X. Just out of what we've discussed on the show, Trick I will have to check out. Like I said, probably tomorrow night. But we are coming to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for tuning in. Before we wrap it up, David, was there anything you wanted to say on the movies we've discussed?
I think we've wrapped everything up. Like Matthew said, thank you if you've joined us. If you haven't seen, this week has been a full of new releases and things for us to go over. And if you're a fan of DC, Star Wars, we have released a lot of new stuff, even on Andor. So make sure to go check that out.
Yep. And of course, both of us are an episode behind on Andor. We will touch base on it again once the season wraps up. With 12, we went through 7. So we will wrap up the entire season like we did Obi-Wan Kenobi. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, we are officially sponsored by none other than Colgate. Be sure you go to Colgate.com or shop.colgate.com, and you can use discount code GEEK20. You'll get 20% off. And we will see you next Sunday night. We have not decided what next week's show will be. We're coming in on the holiday season. I've got a few irons in the fire for possible interviews, so we'll see how things go.
We're always keeping an eye on our comments in our email boxes.
Yes,
so if there's
very
something
much
that you would like us to do, we would love to check out any of y'all's recommendations or do a show on something that y'all like.
And, I think it is time. It's been a few weeks. I think we need to do another bad movie description show to see getting the audience involved, doing some bad movie descriptions and seeing if we can stump each other or just make each other snort laugh. One of the two.
We'll give y'all plenty of heads up notice. That way y'all can all join us. We had a great time last time, and you definitely should check it out because we were very interactive with our audience, and it was a blast.
It was. And in case you missed it, that is on the YouTube channel and on the podcast. And what we did is we just went through we wrote our own bad movie descriptions and tried to stump each other with it. And we had a lot of people chiming in. It was fun. It was really fun. So, yeah, I think that's something that maybe we should discuss doing next week to ring in the holiday season. We could even do holiday themed. We could do nothing but Christmas movies or something. But anyway, we'll discuss that off the air. Folks, thank y'all again. It is a minute past. I'm going to get charged. Anyway, y'all have a great week, everyone. Thank you for joining us as another trip into the GeekVerse. We'll see y'all next week.
Oh, that does it for this episode of Into the GeekVerse. If you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. And if you want to join us live, hit that bell so you never miss a show. Want to catch us on the go? Listen to our podcast on every major platform, but you can catch the real fun on YouTube. Be sure to visit geekinsider.com for tons of great geek content and advertising opportunities. And if you want to stay up to date on all things geeky, sign up for our newsletter. We'll see you next Sunday at 9 p.m. Central. And if you're not here, we might have to revoke your geek card. Have a great week, everyone.